Hello, Hannah Chelsea, the baby maven here, and I am so excited to welcome you to today's interview. We are going to get so much out of our discussion today, and I know that you're just going to love our guest expert. It's been my absolute joy getting to know Christina, and I can't wait to introduce her to you. Christina Fletcher is a spiritually aware parenting coach and author. Her first book was written about being spiritually aware during pregnancy and the first 2 years of a baby's life. Her work focuses on finding that connection in the chaos, as well as using the law of attraction to create happy parenting experiences. She has written 4 books, blogs through her website, freelances for numerous parenting publications, as well as hosts both an online Facebook page and an ever-growing Facebook group community. She lives in Nova Scotia, where she homeschools her 3 children with her soulmate. Christina is so awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to her so she can tell you a bit about herself and her business.
Hi, it's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Hannah. This is brilliant. As you said, my name's Christina Fletcher, and I'm the parent of 3 amazing children who have really taken, that's really what started me on this journey. They really have shaken me up and shown me a better way of doing things. Well, if you want to know my story, I guess, I was living kind of a spiritually aware life before I met my husband. I was doing a lot of meditating. I'd studied religious studies. I was really trying to keep my spiritual essence as my predominant force moving me through every element of life. And through that, I found myself on this kind of whirlwind romance in which I met my husband and kind of found myself on the other side of the ocean randomly and followed through all these amazing experiences. And we met in this very spiritual setting, and all of a sudden then real life kind of slapped us upside the head, and we all of a sudden were pregnant, and then 10 months later we had another baby after that one was born, and life kind of came crashing around me, and I kind of lost that sense of my own self in all of these rules and regulations, and a sense of shoulds and shouldn'ts, and a sense of needing to gain control. So then that's really what started me off on this journey, basically, was that I just felt so constrained and restricted and against myself. And so now what I do is I help parents basically find their true sense of themselves now, first, before they do anything else. They find themselves and then they can parent from there. Because when I became pregnant with our son 6 years later, all of a sudden I used all of that force again, which I had rediscovered as our daughters grew older. I rediscovered this sense of me, and that, wait, they came to experience me as me. And I tapped back into that. And then I used that to get to know my son even before he was born. And it was really a phenomenal pregnancy when I actually encompassed that. Him and I were continually communicating with each other. And whereas when he was born, then it was like a recognition. I remember the first words I said to him was, "And there's my boy," because it was him. And I had gotten to know him so deeply. And after that connection was found, it just never went away. So that's really what I help parents do, is find that connection to themselves. And then once they find that connection to themselves, that sense of really them, their true essence of who you are, away from all the shoulds and shouldn'ts and what society tells you to do and all that chatters in your head, all the weighing up of books and different reports and things. It's really tapping into your essence, tapping into your instincts. And then through that, you then get to know your child on a totally different level. And they show up to you as who they are too. It's really exciting. It's really, really exciting. So that's how I wrote my book. And then that's what I've been writing about now for 6 years. And that's what I've been coaching parents with too. So yeah, it's very exciting.
That's awesome stuff. I'm so intrigued for you to share with our viewers. You said you're pregnant, you were already able to connect with your son. So how exactly did you do that? And for all of our pregnant viewers, how can they really kind of tune in and start that bond before the baby even arrives?
I think the number one step first is to ask. I mean, your baby is, from the get-go, they are themselves. They are a human being. They are an essence. They're a spiritual spirit who are kind of tapping into their body and tapping away and tapping in from their body and tapping away from their body and kind of going, what am I perceiving in this reality that I'm at? You know, even in that touching and just in that kind of hearing. I mean, when you think of the sense of hearing being one of the first that they actually establish what they're observing through life. So literally asking that baby what you're sitting there, you're in that state of quiet, rather than letting that chatter going of worry and concern and, oh my God, is everything okay? And am I eating the way I should eat? And am I taking care of myself? Stopping, taking a few deep, deep breaths, getting yourself into that nice space where you really feel like yourself. And then just saying, hey, whenever you're ready, I would love to get to know you. And encouraging that connection and encouraging that acknowledgement, not treating it like a medical condition, not saying, oh yeah, I'm pregnant, look at how I'm growing. Literally taking that time to drop into that connection, to literally say, hi, how are we here? You know, I remember when I was pregnant with our son, swine flu was in the hospital. So I was really nervous about going in there. Like, it was just a horrible, and to get to the maternity ward, you actually had to go through the main hall. And it was just a bad place to be at that time. It was just bad. And so I literally was just more focused on, okay, how can I know if you're okay? And I said to him once, I guess I was about 6 months pregnant. And I said, you know what? I was like, I need to know if you're okay. You have got to tell me if you're okay. And at the minute I said that, I had the most resounding kick. he kicked me so hard. I was like, okay, so that's how we're going to work. And that's the way it worked. The minute, I didn't even have to say it. The minute I thought, uh-oh, is everything okay? He would always kick me just at that time of saying, yeah, we're fine, we're good. And he literally led me through that. I would feel my instincts kick, not literally kick, but it would kick in of just my instincts would go, oh yeah, no, he says everything's fine. He says everything's cool. We were in a really emotional time at that point. Family was experiencing a lot of turmoil. And I was really, really worried and really disconnected from a sense of groundedness and a sense of well-being. And he really led me through that. It was like he was constantly there, really just saying, it's okay. We'll be okay. Feel how strong this kick is? Oh, wow, I'm really strong. I'm great. Just even aside from kicking, he did literally just send me this sense of well-being continually. It was really, yeah. Just ask. Asking makes all the difference. When you ask, you just open yourself up. Don't keep asking. Just ask, say whenever you're ready, and then just wait. And you'll find that the connection comes from the other side. And that's a really good practice too. Yeah.
That was actually something I was going to say to you, that for the women that are out there who aren't as used to kind of like really listening and like tapping into their intuition, or even just are not used to trusting it, do you have any other tips or tricks for that? Like even outside of their pregnancy, but like as a new mom and they're feeling like unsure about, am I doing this right or whatever, like, do you have tricks to be like, this is how you can kind of tune in, or this is how you can reground yourself?
Well, that's usually what I do if when I have a client that's pregnant. Usually what I do is I start them off. I try to divide it up. This is what I do in my book too. I divide it up between a period of time that you really get to know yourself. Don't worry about your baby. Your baby knows themselves really well. Your baby's got it covered. Your baby is spiritually aligned all the time. You know, they know what they're doing. You don't have to worry about them. Pregnancy is such a beautiful time to take care of yourself. It's a time of getting to know who you are, practicing that. Like once the baby's born, you get life into chaos. Pregnancies, you have 9 months of your own pregnancy where you get to have a rebirth. You know, you get this time where you can stop and go, wait, what do I think about that? What do I feel about this? Who am I? What do I want to do? How do I want to feel? Who do I want to radiate as? Do I want my focus to be into control and keeping things contained, or do I want to let things kind of flow out a bit more? How do I find that? It's a great time to really find that essence. And a lot of people come to me and they go, I don't have that. I don't know how to tap into that. And they've been exposed to the world so much and being told what to think. I would say pregnancy, don't bombard yourself with media. Try to keep away from too much TV shows that are just going to continually tell you what to think. Spend a lot of time journaling. Spend a lot of time, morning pages are my go-to, where literally you take a big notebook and you write just 3 pages of anything. Just write and write and write and write. Literally take out the garbage of your own head, you know? So you're just writing subconsciously, and you can write, I don't know what to write. 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 And things all of a sudden develop and come out. And all of a sudden you realize that you're hearing your own thoughts. And you might be repeating the same thought over and over, and you go, I don't want to think this anymore. It's time for something new, you know? And it's really about planting those seeds. And it's so easy to look back and go, I don't know how to tap into myself. I don't know how to listen to myself. But you do. It takes about a week of practice of really taking that time to deep breathe and to just get a sense of your own groundedness. I'd say that's the biggest tip. Yeah.
That's really cool, Christina. Something that I love that you said that I had never really thought about was that your baby, like during your pregnancy, you can take that time to focus on really like tapping back in, getting to know yourself again, because you mentioned that like your baby already really knows himself. You know, like he's coming into this world already kind of like having things figured out and knowing like spiritually what he is. I absolutely love that, because it was that like light bulb moment that made me feel like, oh, wow. So for all of these women that are out there being like, yeah, I don't know how to listen to that. I don't know how to tune into it, or I can't. That's like not part of me. It's like, oh, no, it is. And it has been since the day, you know, you started being created. So all it really is getting back to something that you already know.
Absolutely. So cool. It is so cool. And it does, when you kind of come into that, it does a shift in your head where, you know, we come from a society where really babies we perceive babies as knowing nothing. Oh, we have to take care of this helpless thing. Oh, we have to, you know, this is our responsibility to pass on all our knowledge. When really, you can learn so much from babies because they have it. They are spirit first, and then they're growing their body. You are taking part in this magical, amazing experience, right? Co-creating it together. You're working together. And then they're born, and the first thing they get is a blast of cold air, which is literally like their first real experience. They're like, oh my God, what have you done? So they cry. And when you start seeing crying as their expression of saying, I'm not feeling like myself anymore, and then you fixed it really quickly, all of a sudden it's like, wow, I'm helping you feel like yourself. I'm helping you feel comfortable in yourself. It's really like, and all of a sudden then you're learning that you just watch them and their wonderment and their amazement of life and their experiences. I remember watching my daughter just rub her blanket, the silken trim on her blanket, and it was like, wow, that's beautiful. And you're like, wow, do I take life for granted now? I sit here thinking about all this stuff and it really does not matter. And, you know, they just live in the moment and they live as themselves. And that's their number one goal, is to feel happy as themselves. You know, it's really, yeah, you do have a lot to learn, and they know it. They can help you even through pregnancy. They can help you remember that side of life, you know, in such an amazing way. And we have, as a society, we have a tendency to kind of, start seeing it just as a physical issue. Like life is all of a sudden just physical. It's all just about bodies. Pregnancy is about your body. It's about, oh, what's your body doing? Oh, how are you feeling? Putting on some weight. You know, all this stuff is what fills our minds when this magical fusion is happening, you know, and it's this incredible element of life. It's so exciting. It takes it to a totally different experience. I can go on and on for it.
I really like what you were saying with that, you know, that you can learn so much from your children, that like they're not coming into this world just like a little blank slate that you're like, let me write stuff on you so that you become like a good, meaningful, happy person and stuff. Like you can sit there and actually learn such an incredible amount from them, especially once you get to the point where you're like, okay, your cries are actually communication. You're not just this like little foreign person that's like, what is going on? And why are you making that noise? It's like, oh, okay, so you're telling me something. I'm going to do my best to understand it, and then we're going to move forward as a team. I love that.
That's, yeah, I know it is. And it brings, like, it really does. What's so exciting about pregnancy, and when you actually go into pregnancy from this angle, and when you go into giving birth from this angle, all of a sudden you just, you get rid of so much restrictions. All of a sudden, it's not about controlling your child. You don't even consider sleep training. You don't even consider even tiredness, because you see it as a just an element. You know, you see it as this kind of partnership where you are communicating with each other and you're flowing together and you're learning stuff and you're wondering and you're seeing things from their perspective, and it doesn't end at babyhood. It just continues. My daughter is 13 now, and since seeing life from that, I'm having a brilliant teen experience. You know, it flows because you're not trying to control. You're not looking at your pregnancy or even your small baby saying, oh my God, how am I going to get them to sleep through the night? You're more going, why aren't you? Why aren't you sleeping through the night? Why aren't you sleeping well? Maybe you just need to be surrounded with this. You're tuned into a different perception. You know, I remember our son, he was sleeping. Like, what my usual practice was is that I would get him to sleep. I would nurse him to sleep, and then I'd put him in his crib so that I wouldn't have to worry about him while I did my stuff. And then at night, he'd be waking up, and then once he was awake, I would co-sleep with him. And that was kind of my usual practice. And all of a sudden, he was about, I think he was about 15 months, I guess. And our dog ran away. Different dog. Our dog ran away, and he didn't come back. And it was this tragedy that happened so suddenly. It was unbelievable. Our son, from that moment on, would not go back to sleep in his bed. And if I hadn't been able to feel life through his perception because we were connected, I would have been like, what are you doing? Why are you going to sleep? And I would have gotten all stressed out. Instead, I went, oh my goodness, he's scared that we're going to start leaving too. Right? All of a sudden, anybody can go. He had to be with me non-stop. So that's what we did. He was just with me from that moment on. To go to sleep, he was sleeping beside me. You know, he was like being in my ergo. He was like there. And it took probably, it was a really long time till he could actually even not feel me close and actually sleep comfortably. But it was that perception. You know what I mean? It's that kind of shifting things around of saying, what am I actually feeling off of you? What are you sending out? What is your actual energy, your spiritual essence sending out to me? And how do I open enough to actually receive that in? And it sounds really complicated, but we all do it. We all do it all the time. How often do you walk into a room and you sense tension in the room just by someone and you know they're stressed out? That's them shooting that out of them. That's their focus shooting out of them. You walk into the room and you sense it. It's just calling it what it is and actually using that for an interaction. You know, it's just being present in that feeling space of that. And really, like, pregnancy is such an important time to do that because life gets busy. You know, when you have a baby, life gets busy. And then they grow up and it gets busier. And then maybe you have another one. It gets busier again. So it gets busy. And to take that time and say, oh, I'm going to do this as a beautiful preparation and learn my instincts and learn how to become sensitive to what I feel and what's around me and my role in it and how to be myself. Oh, it's so exciting. I just get really, really excited when I think about it because it's just like, you just see people going through it now. I do a lot of coaching for parents who are already parents, and some of them are even parents of teenagers, and they're kind of going through this now, and they're going, oh my God, this all makes so much more sense now. If only I knew this before. You go, that's okay. Even that's okay. We tap into it at the right time.
This has been so fascinating to hear about all these different things. And a lot of it is like things that I've heard little bits before, but then hearing you explain it, I'm like, this makes so much sense. So I'm so very glad that we were able to bring this together and have this conversation today. And something that I know that you work with your clients on, and I think our viewers would love to hear about, is the law of attraction. So if you want to maybe talk about, first of all, like what the law of attraction is for anybody who doesn't know, and then also how like these, moms can harness that power and like really use it to create the life that they want.
Sure. Yeah, I do. It usually ends up in the conversation somewhere. And it's funny because the law of attraction, it was floating around, people using the term law of attraction for a really long time. And then it kind of got negative connotations because people thought it was just all about stuff. They thought it was about getting stuff. And it's really not. The late Wayne Dyer really put it the best when he said that the law of attraction isn't about what you want. It's about what you are. And what that really means is that if you think that every thought that you think and everything that you do creates an energy that comes off of you. That's what, I mean, if you do any energy healing, Reiki, therapeutic touch, anything like that, you use your focus to create a healing energy. Well, any focus that you have, from every TV show to Facebook post to anything, if you hold it for any period of time, it creates a space. And what that space does is literally you're holding up a sign. And you're saying to the universe or to God or to whatever, and you're saying, more of this, please. So if you imagine of a space where you're really stressed out, or you are continually focused on being tired, or I'm so uncomfortable, or I'm cranky, that's holding that sign up that says, more of this, please. And that's what you get. You will always, and that's, in days, like, in those days that you wake up and you kind of stumble out of bed and you stub your toe on the side of the bed and you go, and then you walk in and you kind of bump into the door, or you end up that you like find something on your shirt when you get out, and then you hit all the traffic and everything piles up against you and you're like, oh my God, I'm just having one of those days. That's when you go, oh, what sign am I holding up here? That is bringing all of this frustration in, because your thoughts snowball. Everything snowballs about yourself. So what I help parents do is go, okay, well, if you imagine that snowballing, like, you will find it. The more if you're pregnant, the more you have backache, and the more you notice how uncomfortable you are in your body, the more you notice how uncomfortable you are in your body. It snowballs. And then you stub your toe, something, or then you can't tie your shoelaces, or something perpetuates always and always. And then you can actually see that happening. Then the doctors sense, oh, what's going on? Something's happening. Your blood pressure is raising. You can see it physically manifest itself continually. And then when the baby's born, you can see it in, I can't get a moment's peace. That sentence, how often do we hear parents say that? I can't get a moment alone. Massive sign. Can't get a moment alone. Universe is like, okay, that's fine. No, you're right. You can't. You can't get any moment alone. And even when that baby's sleeping, that dog's going to bark and wake him up. You just go, oh. So it builds and it builds and it builds. So what I really help parents do is just go, okay, wait. If you take your focus and you just start just tweaking it that little bit to a more positive space of what you want to experience. So you just take appreciation is probably one of the best things to really jumpstart yourself. You can just, if you just start making lists of appreciation, things that you love, things that feel good, even just if you don't know how you feel about being pregnant, you can shift it and just focus on a cup of tea or a cup of coffee or your favorite dessert or outside. If you are loving being pregnant, then appreciate every single moment and everything that you love about it, and just really milk it until you feel just really good. And by doing that and practicing that, then all of a sudden more things build and more things build and more things come to appreciate. You're holding up that sign too, right? So it's just about kind of being aware of what you're focusing on, and that's it. It's not, some people hear it and they go, oh my God, I've got to like backtrack on every single thought I have that's negative. And you're like, no, it's okay. It's not about erasing all the negative stuff. We learn from negative stuff. It's okay to bring in bad stuff, but it's also being aware of the fact that you have a bit of moving room, that you can kind of change your focus and shift things over and direct your thought and really, and you can feel good. Even in the chaos, you can really feel good. You can find something that just feels really good and you just go, oh man, I'm going to really appreciate this. And this feels like me. And so everything can be falling apart around you. And then you can turn that and you turn it around, and law of attraction enables you to kind of move beyond that. So yeah, that's what that is. And it really does work. And kids love it. Kids understand it as of about 3. They understand that what they focus on, they go, oh, yeah, that makes sense. I'll stop whining now. It's not working.
That's awesome. I mean, I've been so fortunate that like I learned about the law of attraction a number of years ago, and I've been putting it into practice, and I've seen how absolutely incredible it can be. But I will say that before I learned about it, or as I was learning about it, I was like, oh, I've definitely seen this in the negative sense, where things domino and spiral in a bad way. And luckily I was able to look at those experiences and be like, okay, well, this is proving to me like that the law of attraction does work. And if it can work in this negative way that I'm not so thrilled with, all I have to do is change my mindset or change my intentions or just change those thoughts one at a time. And it can totally snowball in my favor as well. So for anybody who's had the law of attraction work in a way that you're like, it was just one of those days, just know that it can also be like, woohoo, it was one of those days.
That is so well put. And it's so true, because when your perception creates what you see, and I always tell people, it's like, you know what, if you're complaining about life, like say you're complaining about the fact that nobody ever picks up, right? You're the only one who cleans the house. It doesn't matter if one day, to surprise you, everybody cleans the house. You'll only see the cup that didn't get put away. Your perception is just like, that's what the whole point is, right? Because that's all you will see. And that's what other people see too, is their own perception, right? So it kind of gives you that leeway, but really that's what you see. And it just paints life. So the more you focus on the things that feel good, the more you see the things that feel good, the more you kind of become this kind of, you just live in a total state of wonder. And you notice it when your children do the same. That's the way babies live. They're in wonder. They're not like, oh man, they're just like, wow. I remember watching our son when he was like 2, and I was watching that he was in his sand table and his water table, and he was playing outside. He was so focused. And that's what kids are, right? They're so focused. They don't scatter. I always feel like I have about 10 different tabs open at once, kind of thinking different things. He's totally focused on this sand thing that he's building. And then all of a sudden, you could feel something catch his eye, and he looked down at the ground, and there was this worm crawling around the ground. And it was like the sand table did not exist anymore. It was like worm. And that was it. He sat there for like 15 minutes, totally focused. And I was just like, oh my God, if we could all have that power of focus so that we could just hold a thought and hold an experience, and like, imagine being in a state of appreciation and just being that amazing sense of wonder and having that. Oh, I just watch kids and I just go, you're so lucky, because that's where you live until society, and possibly me, teaches you that, oh no, it can't go like that, right? That's what they're from. So you just enjoy it, like, oh, when a baby's first born and they're just living in that state and they hold that focus, you're just like, oh, it's just the best. It's just the best. And you get to experience it all over again when you are around them. It's so much fun.
Yeah, you get to like live vicariously through your baby. Like, oh, look at this wonder. And also just like, they are like, little kids especially are so incredibly good at harnessing the power of the law of attraction. Like, they get that power and they like stand in it. They're like, I can do this. And like, it's such a shame that as you get older and as society like interferes with just like the pure person that you are, that so often you lose some of that power, or you start to like not trust it as much. That's such a bummer. I want people to get that.
It really is. And when you consider that, you know, it really makes a lot of sense. If you consider the focus, so you have this focus as a baby and as a small child, you have this focus and everything's flowing in. And then imagine like the terrible twos, right? Where they've got this focus, which is not terrible in a way. You know, they've got this focus of intent. And then usually we have to kind of go, whoop, scoop up. Sorry, you can't play with the electrical outlets. I know it sounds like fun, but you can't, you know, like you have to pull their attention away. And immediately it's like, what? Split, right? And you can just, and it's what we're here for. It has to happen. It's like every spirit knows that this is what happens. It's why we come, you know, but still you can see it. You can see it really kind of make that gap and kind of split that focus and then water it down just a little bit and water it down. And really, when you imagine the power behind focus and then kind of having it watering down, you really understand why we as a society kind of build as we do, because really we have scattered focus and more scattered focus as time progresses. I find that my focus now with technology, with phones, with social media, with everything, I find my focus is a lot more scattered than it was like 10, 15 years ago. You know, we are always bombarded with more information, and it's hard to be sometimes present for everyone and keep your focus on that. And really that's key. It's all about just focus and where you're putting your attention. It's really exciting. But that means that it's also in your hands, isn't it? It's in your capabilities. And so often you can kind of hold up this kind of victim of, oh my goodness, my life's falling apart. But you go, if that's actually in your tangible moment hands, you don't need money for it. You don't need anything for it. You don't even need a pen and paper. You know, it's all just here. You can be doing it on the bus. You can be doing it while nursing. You can be doing it while washing dishes. You can hold something of focus. It's incredibly empowering.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely love like what you do, Christina, because like talking about this stuff and just like reclaiming that power and then helping and guiding your clients to kind of like reclaim that trust in their intuition and use the power of like the law of attraction and their inner resources. Like these are things that everybody has in them, but they can so benefit, I think, from having somebody be like, here's like, you know what? Here's the quickest, easiest route for us to reclaim that. And like, I just so appreciate that. I think what you're doing is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's a good thing. It's a good thing to believe in what you do.
I think that often happens, right? Like I would have loved if someone, when I was first pregnant, had just said, remember who you are. And I would have just gone, what? Because I scoured bookshops when I was pregnant, like 14 years ago, scouring them, just saying, okay, but how do I put spirituality in with this? I feel really like, you know, and I just literally just screaming from the rooftops of saying, what do I do? And if someone, you know, I would have just loved to have somebody just say, okay, you know what, let's just get back to you. That's all you're looking for. You know, like it's all within you. That's why I love to call it your own inner resources, because it's from your source, right? It's just about your resources. And it's just incredibly exciting to see it, and then to see how it's infiltrating people's lives, of how once they make that shift, all of a sudden their kids are picking up on that shift, and all of a sudden their partner's picking up on that shift, and everyone's going, oh yeah, wait a second. It's incredibly exciting. I love coming to work every day.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
One of my favorite things about you, Christina, is that you were saying, you know, you scoured for a book on this, that you were looking for these resources and they, you know, you just couldn't find them. And so you went and you created them. Like, thank you.
I know, right? That literally was it. It's like, where's the book I need to read? I'll write it. I've always kind of done that. I must have been. Yeah, and that literally, I need to write the next one, because really that's really what that came out of. Exactly. It was like, what was the book that I needed? Well, it was the little reminder that I needed, and that really where it came from. So I was really excited, and that too was a gift from my son, because literally he kind of was the one that was like, whereas with my daughters, I really needed the book. And they were the ones that really, they kind of showed me the way I, like, especially when they were babies, I didn't want to feel stressed. And they were the ones that kind of, I was stressed. And they were the ones that would look at me with this kind of, you don't want to feel stressed. And I did go through all of that very common felt stress and anxiety and worry and tension, and I went through all that state of disconnection. So then when I found the connection, I was like, oh my God, yeah, that makes so much sense. And my daughters will often say to their brother, they'll say, you are so lucky that we came first. Because man, and that is why I wrote the book. Totally. That absolutely. And from that, oh, the community that is built up. I mean, I am so excited. I appreciate every single minute with my community, because it came out into a Facebook page, and now this really exciting Facebook group that I've got, and they're just an amazing bunch of people, and they are on there all the time offering different support and different inspirations, and then different questions and different scenarios, and watching, like, I've had my experiences, and things like the book came out of my experiences, and now watching other people's experiences, and the conversations are going in totally new directions and new revelations, and it's really kind of, it's really phenomenal. It's really phenomenal. It's really exciting to see everybody pull together, because we're all in it together. You know, we're all co-creating together. So it's very exciting.
That's wonderful. And you know what, on that note, I want to move into kind of our quick overview to make sure that all of our viewers have like all the details so that they know how to connect with you, get into your Facebook group, things like that. So what is the name of your business?
Spiritually Aware Parenting.
Perfect. What are you all about?
Spiritually Aware Parenting. Really, it's about finding that connection to yourself in any chaos that comes your way.
Perfect. What's one snippet of advice you'd like to share with our viewers?
To trust your inner instincts, to trust your voice, and to not let other people's stories paint your own.
That's so true, because people do have a lot to share.
Especially during pregnancy. Oh my God. And everyone rarely says the good stories, but there's a lot of good stories out there, but people love to share the bad ones, right? And by letting those paint yours, you're holding up that sign, right? Hold up that sign. Be the story nobody talks about.
Exactly. Okay, and how can we find you? I know you mentioned about like that your Facebook community is absolutely incredible. We want to know like your website, your Facebook groups, things like that.
Okay, well, if you, the website's spirituallyawareparenting.com. So that's really easy to find. And then literally on Facebook, the group is called Spiritually Aware Parenting too. It's pretty, and there's also the page as well. So yeah, but definitely the group is what's really very active right now. The page is a lot of inspirational passages that I share that actually a couple of my books have actually been written from. The different, just kind of, I call them quick pick-me-ups for the soul, because they're just literally little passages. So that's what the page is. But now that we have the Facebook group, that's what really is becoming the community. So
okay, awesome. And I know that you had said that you have a little like freebie for our viewers. Did you want to tell them about it?
I do, sure. Yeah, I'm actually offering anyone who comes over and follows the link and signs up for the newsletter, they will get a free PDF copy of my most recent passage book, which is called Intentions for the Spiritually Aware Parent.
That's absolutely incredible. I am so excited for you to share that with all of our viewers, and I'm excited to get my copy of it. Because I love what you're doing, Christina. And I so appreciate that you took the time, to share your expertise with us today, because I know that if I'm loving every second of this, that our viewers are just soaking it up too. And viewers, all of the information that Christina just shared with her website and her Facebook group and her Facebook page, you can find links to all of that in the email that you received with this video. And there will also be the link in there for you to be able to sign up to receive that freebie. So you definitely want to go back, check out that email, click through those links, and make sure that you connect with Christina. And Christina, thank you so much. I enjoyed this so immensely. You have no idea.
Me too. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we connected. This has been so much fun.
It has been really fun. Okay, so everybody that's viewing this, until next time, thank you for joining us, and I hope you have a beautiful day.